Namaste, my friends. Welcome to Happy Jack Yoga Podcast. My name is Happy Jack, live from Harvard Innovation Labs here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm here with the one and only
Happy Hanna, I am in Muskoka, Bracebridge, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, amazing and beautiful to be together. This past hour, we were just having the Bhakti Yoga Conference, our final satsang call, right? It was just so beautiful to hear the shares, to hear how people are practicing Bhakti, to people how to just sharing their journey and being real, the celebrating the progress that they've made, but then also recognizing, areas where there's still room to grow and evolve, which is true for all of us. And, after like the receiving of 2 months of all those guest speakers, and then having this past month to be able to be in community and to share and to, this is what it's all about. This is yoga. We're living it.
Yeah, it's really beautiful to come together and discuss spirituality and live spirituality together. It's maybe the healthiest thing we can do. Like there was a conversation earlier on eating onions and garlic and the impact of that in our body and on our mind. Like the yogis teach us that eating onion and garlic can make you agitated and increase your energy in ways that might not be so helpful in a spiritual, if you're wanting to like fine tune your mind and your energy, then the yogis recommend not eating garlic and onion. But that is what we're discussing is our spirituality, the impact of the choices we make and our connection to our understanding of God. And that is healthy. It's healthy to discuss spirituality and acknowledge the role and the importance of spirituality in our lives, in community. That is powerful and important.
Yes. I found that so helpful on that last call when Mina was sharing, she's being so honest with us and sharing, feels, thinking about her identity. And although she's in an Indian body, she was born in the US and actually doesn't know when her family came to the US, how many generations ago. And it's so easy to get attached to these different identities but to be able to hear her, and to think about, our true identity as a pure spirit soul, as a connection to the divine, and to just be, we can't verify and we don't know exactly, but there's like an inner knowing, and I feel like it comes by being in this conversation, by being in community like this, sometimes by taking ourselves to sacred places like India or immersing ourselves in the Ganga River, but finding these practices and people and traditions and cultures that I don't know, just kind of awaken something and inspire something. This is the path, and here we are.
This is the path. And one thing that I would like, I'm really inspired. I sent you guys yesterday a podcast about the work of a Columbia University professor and researcher. Her name is Lisa Miller. Her work is around spirituality and the importance of spirituality in the society, really. And she would say that the mental health crisis that we have in the world is because of our lack of spirituality. We've removed the importance of spirituality in our society. And she also highlights that everybody is spiritual. She says, if you have a brain, you are spiritual. It's not like some people have a different type of brain. It's just that maybe through meditation and prayer, we've strengthen certain circuits in the brain, but anybody can do that. And I think that's really important to remember, because sometimes we tend to like divide ourselves and people into different camps, like those who are spiritual and those who are not. But what her work shows is that everybody is spiritual. And maybe if we are struggling, it is a divine opportunity to seek for a connection with God, whatever version that is for us,
Yeah.
whatever thing really resonates, because in our heart of hearts, we know when we have a genuine connection with something that is greater than ourselves. And it's
Yeah.
healthy to cultivate that connection.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. Like, it's not, spirituality is not about a belief. It's not about our belief. It's not about the organization that we belong to. It's our essence. We are, we are spiritual beings, and this is, maybe you've, some of us, many of us perhaps, have seen a person after they pass away. And it's like, once the person passes, and it's a very sad time, but there's like the person's not there anymore. In one sense, the physical body is there, you know, but there you don't want to like take the body home and like I want to keep my loved one. Like it's not like that. Like they're not there. That's just some physical body. The and so it sounds like Lisa Miller is kind of helping us reframe the understanding that we all are spiritual. She actually spoke here at Harvard Divinity School like last semester. I didn't watch, I got a copy of her book, but I didn't watch the lecture. But I think it's really important and refreshing to know that people are awakening to this and exploring this, and it's becoming mainstream in the academic world, in the world of science. Beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Her work also wanting to bring spirituality and science closer together.
Nice. And that's, I think, what's, perhaps what Lisa Miller did, this academic, and for all of us, it's like finding our path, finding our calling. And this conference that we just finished was such a beautiful, unexpected, beautiful experience. I mentioned briefly on the previous call, being down in Florida this past weekend. There was like 5,000. So this 4,500 was the number. So 4,500 yogis, devotees had come together for this weekend of kirtan, this weekend of bhakti yoga. And I've never been before. I'm new in a sense, and it was such a great testament to the work that we've all done here, that so many people came up and were like, hey, we saw the conference and I loved Edwin Bryant, or I loved Rukmini, I loved Shaunaka Rishi, or so cool that Radhanath Swami was there. And to hear people, the value that they got from it. And actually, we got to meet with Brandon, a member of our team, and him and I were just like sitting there meeting in person for the first time in quite a while. And just as we're sitting there were like multiple people. There were people like lined up. There's two people lined up waiting to come and talk and share about their experience of the Bhakti Yoga conference. So I think that's it. If in addition to a good project we did, it's a testament to people's hunger and interest and desire to take their spiritual life seriously. We all have the same amount of time. Steve Jobs, or I mean, he's not alive anymore. Who are the Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, and they have 24 hours a day. We have 24 hours a day. What is it that we're going to do with our time? And for me, and I think for many of us on this call and in this community, spiritual life, spiritual practice is becoming more prominent. And we get to do it in our own unique way, which is what we heard on the last call.
Yeah, we get to cultivate that connection. It means that we might look to practices that help us connect through our heart, our essence. Like the soul that we are in this body is yearning for a deep connection. And I guess we all know, because I think we're all spiritual seekers. That's why we come together. But those maybe listening, maybe on Facebook or somewhere, and you might not identify as a spiritual seeker, then I think those listeners as well can have the right to cultivate and open their hearts and minds to spirituality in whatever way might feel like the closest that you can honestly muster. Like it, I think it would be great if you were allowing yourself to look for a connection to something greater than yourself.
Yeah. I find it makes life more meaningful and fulfilling. I mean, Hanna, we were together for close to 10 years. I can self-acknowledge it. I can be self-centered. Like just, in a way, taking care of myself and putting my needs first. And to some extent, we all need to do that. And you're like, yeah, that's right. But it's as important as self-care is and all of that. It's so much more nourishing and fulfilling when we put others or put some purpose, whether some mission, so whether it's divinity, whatever it happens to be, when we put that first and we live from a place of service, it's I don't know. That's when there's more joy, there's more happiness, there's more ease, more inner peace, all of these kind of qualities. It's yet we've been kind of conditioned to think that, oh, by earning more or striving more or climbing the corporate ladder, that's going to bring the happiness. But it's actually through service, through contribution, through giving. And it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be massive, but just in some authentic way.
Yeah, like a heartfelt connection
Mm.
is what fulfillment feels like, isn't it? And purpose, what it really feels like. I know a lot of parents know they swim in that all day long.
Yeah.
They're constantly being of service. And yes, you could say it's a little bit transactional because you'll suffer if your kid suffers, but it's also not at the forefront of the parent's mind. They really are wanting to raise up a person who can become independent eventually so that when my soul leaves this planet, they will be fine. It,
Mm.
for example.
Yeah.
And maybe our profession is something where we feel that we can make a difference and create a connection, like something deeper than just fulfilling a societal role. It looks
Mm.
good keeping up with the Joneses because then I have this title and this logo
Mm.
on my car. We know it's not fulfilling in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, and our friend Mohanji shared something interesting in the chat. It really, the importance of our focus.
Mm.
He's kind of grounding us in the point that we all have a spirit. We all even identify we are a pure spirit soul, but many of us in this material world, in this body, at this stage of life, at this stage of our journey, we might not have a spiritual inclination. Like it really depends where our focus is. And I know my journey, there was a time where sex, drugs, and rock and roll, like that was it. Like to get as, I'm sorry, to get as blackout drunk as I could be, and to play the music as loud as I could, and then to eat as much as I could, and to indulge in so many things that were not serving me. Like that's where my focus was. And so at that time, I was a spiritual being. I was a pure spiritual soul, but I just had so many layers I'd lost. And all of us are lost to some extent. We're entangled, we're engaged in the material world, we're attached, right? And in the most beautiful ways, we're attached to loved ones, right? The thought of losing a loved one, and most of us have, is challenging. But then there's other areas that we're entangled and attached in ways that don't serve us. And And we're not here to judge, others or ourselves. But that's an important distinction that, it's, the importance of our focus, or the Sanskrit word drishti, right? Where we put our attention. And that's the value of having a sadhana. That's the value of having, cultivating a spiritual practice, doing our best to connect to higher consciousness, higher being, engaging with the texts, whether that's the yogic texts, whether that's, from what other wisdom traditions, and then the association, like that's, this past weekend, having been at a couple of retreats, every conversation I had was like so nourishing and so uplifting, because we weren't, I mean, I got to say it because I'm Canadian, but like the NHL playoffs are happening right now, and I'm cheering for the Edmonton Oilers, and I check the score for 10 seconds every day just to see, and I'm rooting for a certain team because I'm entangled in the material world, and I was born in Canada. But when I was at this this Sadhu Sangha retreat, we weren't talking about the hockey game. We weren't talking about, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but we were talking about divinity. We were talking about spiritual path. We were talking about the importance and the nourishment that comes from the association and the practice and all of this. And so that, coming back to what Mohanji shared, like it depends on our focus. And that's part of our intention. I mean, that's one of the intentions of this podcast. Let's take 1 hour out of our day. Hopefully you're not scrolling while you're listening, but like 1 hour, to be in community, to be in conversation, and we'll be the first to admit we're not gurus. We don't know everything. We're not perfect, but we're walking the path, and we're kind of sharing our truth, our realizations, and that's I think that's an important to have those types of spaces, in addition to looking to tradition for like the for the the teachings, also sharing our lived experience. I think that's what Happy Jack Yoga is all about.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing like the whole journey of your life. Like when we look at like how do we actually live a spiritual life? What does that mean? And in all traditions, I think there's an attempt to balance and do the right thing. So when you were excelling in self-destructive behaviors, you were not looking for balancing the opposites, because we are human beings. We live in a duality, materialistic world, and it comes with day and night. It comes with helpful or not helpful things. And so how do we navigate? So if we say that onions and garlic, they increase the storm inside, then yogis say, well, eliminate the garlic, and that might help you find samatvam, even-mindedness, that you can meet difficulties without going to the extremes, right? And so what that looks like inside your heart, inside your mind, is noticing when you get dysregulated, noticing when your focus is on the dark side, or on some extreme. Because I think the connection we're yearning for lies in the peacefulness, in the neutrality of not being attached or repulsed. So when we witness our path in the daily, our spiritual practice could be in wanting to create a peaceful place. Like if we were an antenna that connects to God, then we want the antenna to be able to receive, able to connect. And that means not being too dysregulated or focused or attached to some of the dualistic mechanisms that we're facing in the daily.
Yeah. That's again coming back to what we talked about recently in the last call, as you say, in the daily, like taking these practices and living it, in our everyday interactions, in every different circumstance. This is spiritual life. This is spiritual practice. It's not easy. It's not pretty always, but it's real, and and real progress can come from it. I know we joked before in the past, Hanna, where sometimes people like, restorative yoga, and I like restorative yoga. It's very healing, and so sometimes in restorative yoga, we just like lay on our back and we put a blindfold on and we just get really comfortable. And frankly, our nervous systems benefit hugely from that. And there's a ton of value. But then there's also practices that are more austere. They're more physically challenging, energetically challenging, so that they shift energy, they move prana, and it's not about putting on the blindfold and like tuning out, but it's more about like engagement. And so this can be about understanding our nature and what our needs are, because some people are very rajasic, very passionate, energetic. I can be there. And so then it can be so beneficial to have practices like restorative yoga or yoga nidra or yin yoga. And then there's others of us that might be more tamasic, a little bit more lethargic, a little bit more. Our nature is just to chill, to relax, to not be as active. And I've been there as well. And so then there's different practices, different sadhanas, different yogas to help, different pranayama practices to be able to give us the energy to engage and to really live life at the fullest. And so it's understanding our nature and understanding the circumstance. And this is the spiritual practice, is like having access to all these different tools and deciding what is it, what is the need, what is our nature, what is our tendency. And I heard something actually just very briefly, but this morning I go down into the basement where the kitchen is at the ashram, and Uddhav Prem Prabhu, he makes me breakfast every morning, a vegan breakfast, like quinoa and vegetables, every day. So kind, because I'm vegan. And he was listening to a lecture, and I just caught a minute or two of it while I was dishing up. But it was Radhanath Swami speaking, and he was talking about how, like, reminding all of us, like, don't think for a second that Maya Devi, illusion, is just like, he didn't say this, but somebody else said this, one of our Bhakti Yoga Conference speakers. Maya is outside the door doing push-ups, just waiting. Maya is just like doing push-ups and working out strength and just like waiting to re-engage and to pull us off our spiritual path. It doesn't matter how much progress we've made. If we've been doing this for 50 or 60 years, if we're gurus or spiritual teachers or considered enlightened or any of that, great progress. But Maya is there doing push-ups, ready to jump in and to engage, and for all of us. And I see that in my life. And thankfully, by having consistent spiritual practice, like I'm able to, for the most part, stay on progress and stay on track. And sometimes, Maya pulls me off. And whether that's in the form of social media or the phone, whether that's in the form of food, whether that's in the form of onions and garlic. I mean, I actually don't have too big of a problem with onions and garlic. Peanut butter is my thing. But like just knowing, just seeing how easy it is to get pulled off. And so something that we all get to practice is being compassionate with ourselves when that inevitably happens. This is spirituality.
Yeah. And what did Radhanath Swami say? Or did he remind you of Maya? Is that what
He was telling a story from the Srimad Bhagavatam. I just caught like 90 seconds of it. But there was a story of how Gajendra, an elephant, had gotten clamped on by an alligator, clamped on, and he was in the water. So like an alligator is going to have a little bit more advantage in the water than an elephant as it got deeper. And so he was talking about how Maya is just like, they're ready. This is, by the way, I mean, not getting too philosophical or theological, but like God, divinity, created Maya. It serves a purpose, to have this illusion, to have this entanglement. It's part of our lila. It's part of our story. But the point being, in the little bit that I heard, was that, let's not think that, because we're doing our chanting, our rounds, or because we're doing our kirtan, or because we're with the devotees, or whatever it is we're doing, don't feel for a second that we're like, we made it, or we're safe, right? And and it's not about living in fear, but it's about like having a healthy understanding that even as we continue to cultivate our spiritual practice, and as we make progress, and we're in this beautiful state, and it's amazing, being mindful that temptation is there. I think, it made me think about, with alcohol. So I've been sober, what is it, 2025? I've been sober 16 years now, and I have no, and I'm not here to preach that others have to do it. I have no desire, I have no doubt that I'll remain sober. Like, I have so much certainty, but actually hearing that, it almost gives me like a little bit of healthy respect of, like, even though in 16 years I've had no desire and no temptation and no doubt that I would go back, it's like, you know what, Jack? Be mindful, because Maya and, life and curveballs happen, and like, let's have a respect for, again, I'm not saying that everybody needs to do what I do, but whatever decisions or lifestyle choices we make, for the better, be mindful that, and at the same time, if we do fall off track in whatever that looks like, again, practicing the compassion.
Yeah, and what I hear in that also is that, well, maybe you don't have a problem with alcohol, but what other addictions are we cultivating? And not just you, but all of us. Like, what other um, unhealthy thinking patterns or um, illusions that we buy into?
Mm. You want to answer that for me?
No, I'm just saying in general, like what
No,
I'm
I
hearing,
know.
because it's not about the alcohol, it's about the addictive pattern of
Yeah.
doing something that isn't, that's another extreme. Like, it's again not going in the extreme of using substances to find peace or connection or numbing out.
Yeah.
Like, the rejustic behaviors that they take other, what I hear in this story is that they take other expressions. It's not just the alcohol, it could be the peanut butter, or I don't know what else. It's individual
Or
for each of us.
yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure. And and I definitely still have areas like tendencies and nature, and I think this is why I've said it a few times on this call, the importance of being kind to ourselves, and being, they would think, who was it? Was it Mina on the last call? I can't remember. But when we were talking about the onions and garlic, and she was using vocabulary, language like, oh, I really have to change, or I really should, or I feel this guilt. And when we want to make meaningful change for our spiritual progress, it's good intention. But if we're beating ourselves up and hard on ourselves, it's that's not the leverage that's going to create lasting change, right? Typically, it's got to come from a more, like, really understanding why, not just like, oh, I should or I have to, but what is the, why is this important? And being kind as we go on the journey, because it's up and it's down, and it's all around, and we're all just doing the best we can. Our parents did the best that they could, not perfect. I'm looking forward to seeing my parents tonight. I haven't seen them in a long time. They're flying into Boston this afternoon. My sister, her husband, and their 3 children are driving from Canada. They're going to arrive this evening, and here's like an example. In one sense, we got lots going on right now, Hanna, right? Lots of exciting things. It's all really cool, with the team, and we got things expanding and projects, and the retreat in West Virginia coming up soon. So part of me is like invested in that in such an inspired way. And it's like, and now my family's here for 5 days, and I love my family, But so instead of like feeling distracted or trying to like hurry up and get this done to get to the next thing, I really want to be present with my family. Like they're making the effort to travel internationally, to drive or fly down here to spend some days. And so, I think that presence is all that matters. And I think, as I mentioned on the last call last night, my flight was significantly delayed, and I got into my room last night and was going to bed at 2:45 a.m., which is the time that my roommate's clock goes off, alarm clock goes off to wake up. So I'm going to bed as he's getting up. So I'm like all backwards. But these next days, all that I'm going to focus on is being present with my family, with my parents, my sister, her family, and trying to live these bhakti principles.
Right. Like you want to be connected.
Yeah.
And it's your focus then in the upcoming days on really being present with the people you love and putting that as your priority, right, in your days.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what that comes from focus, like deciding what it is that we're going to prioritize. But there is something special when we find things that we're excited about. And, Hanna, you and I, we were because I was sitting on the runway yesterday for over an hour. And so we were having a nice conversation, and we were both so inspired, right? Like it's great. It hasn't always been this way. Sometimes it's like, trudging to, walking side by side, but still like kind of resistance. But now, just in this space of inspiration and excited for the future, that's a good place to be in.
It is. It is. And I guess that is part of the nature of life, of the duality that comes with living in a body and being a human being, having this human experience, that there's times where it is hard work and it feels like we're working not just between each of us, you and I, but like as entrepreneurs, that there's heavy lifting that needs to happen, and we might not know how to always solve all the things. And that's why we're so grateful now to have team members who are bringing such fresh energy to us and bringing great perspectives that sometimes, we're our commitment and our passion that Happy Jack Yoga is, sometimes we are so deep in it that we can't see the forest for the trees. And it's such a blessing then to have people who are, it feels to me like deeply invested in helping us. And I feel such gratitude for that. And it inspires me, it feeds my soul. It feels like the tides are lifting, all the boats rise. And that's so beautiful.
Yeah. And those people are here. It's
They
Sarah and
are.
George, members of the community who have, been so engaged for the past years as members of the community. And everybody knows them from the Bhakti Yoga Conference. And, it's typically how the team has evolved. It's like, Brandon's a great example as well. Like when somebody is like enthusiastic and they want to be involved and they offer some seva, they offer their services just out of a desire to contribute. And then all of a sudden there's an opportunity. And but it's beautiful, as you say, to have fresh voices, fresh perspectives, and to do things collectively. I think was it Mina again on the last call, or no, Swati, who's here. Yeah, I think she was saying, sometimes there's that tendency to want to be alone, and that can be to do with the people that we're normally associating with. But actually, if we find people who are like have the same mindset and the same inspiration and kind of walking in that same direction, it's exciting, and especially when you can start to create a little community or a little sangha or a little team where everybody is gets to serve according to their nature. Not everybody's a kirtan musician. Not everybody's a cook. Hanna, 1 to 10, rate my cooking skills.
I would maybe go below zero,
And
possibly.
that's the truth. That's the truth. I'll take it.
No offense.
No offense taken, right? And but maybe there's something else where I can contribute. So it's like there's no point putting Jack in the kitchen. There's no point putting Hanna in the Excel spreadsheet. There's no, you know what I mean? But there is a place that we all have a place. And so when we can start to, this is something that Mars, or Atreya Rishi, some of you know him as, is so, has been such a gift when he talks to us about circles, like having these different circles, these different communities. Maybe it's a leadership circle, maybe it's a bhakti circle, but places where you can be there to contribute to one another, to be in conversation, and ultimately each of us finding our own nature. And that's, for those out there who are yoga teachers, and in the beginning as a yoga teacher, you kind of got to do it all. You're the social media expert, you're the administrative assistant, you're the lead facilitator, you're the marketing manager. You kind of got to do it all in the beginning, and that's how we all start. But it's hard, and it takes effort, it takes commitment, and then eventually we start, finding people and places and resources and tools to lighten that, so we can focus on what it is that we love. And I feel that's like version 2.0 is where we're heading right now. I mean, in fact, we should share briefly, just today we're announcing, I'll share it, for those who are on the Facebook will get to see it. For those who are on, Spotify, etc., we'll tell you how to get in details. But we've just launched our spiritual growth membership. This is like a beautiful opportunity for those who are just part of our Bhakti Yoga conference to be able to continue walking the spiritual path, to be able to continue engaging the tradition. We've had this program, we've had some version of this program happening for the last 3 years, but now the team, with the inspiration of Sarah and George, like we've put so much more into it. You receive access to 4 of our spirituality courses. By the way, we have many more than 4. We have like Buddhist mindfulness and meditation. We have the divine feminine, yoga goddesses. We have many other spiritual courses, but we've got these 4, which are yoga philosophy and spirituality, Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Yoga, the Bhagavata Purana, as well as a comparative course, Krishna and Christ. And these courses are facilitated, in addition to myself and Hanna. Primary facilitators are like Edwin Bryant, who was a part of the Bhakti course, Radhesham Prabhu, Professor Clooney from Harvard, young scholars, chaplains, like really different voices. And these courses we've had for some years now. But now, anyways, this package, you get these 4 courses, you get our weekly satsang call where you get to integrate your spiritual principles into your life. You get the association of like-minded souls and special guests. We're super excited for that, with some really amazing special guests that we'll bring onto the call, as well as, over 200 videos of yoga and meditation, pranayama breath work, weekly yoga, weekly podcast, which is this, and then the newsletter. And so, of course, the difference, like the podcast, this is you and I talking, Hanna, and it's beautiful that we've got a dozen people from around the world here with us, but, it's more receiving. Where the cool thing, when we meet for the satsang call, the 1-hour call, that's where we actually get to hear from you. We get to connect with you. So anyway, just excited to share that. Like that's just one component of many amazing things coming. I think 2025 is a big year. It's going to be a big shift, and the best is yet to come.
Yeah, and this is just so incredible how this has come together in such a short time. Such a beautiful offering that I hope will be of spiritual inspiration for many yogis to come. And I don't think you and I would have been able to create this if it wasn't for our beautiful team
Mm.
pouring their love into it.
Well,
Um,
here's what would have happened. Like, honestly, we would have got together, Hanna. We would have put up a nice big post-it note on the wall. We would have designed this amazing program. Like, we could have, I mean, it was amazing what they came up with, but, we could have come up with a cool program, and then we would have got busy doing other things. And so this, because our nature is more visionary, like having an idea, where is it that we're going, and coming up with inspiring projects, as it is for them as well. But then our nature is also serving the community. So we're focusing on leading these calls and supporting the community, and connecting and going to different events. So to have a team that comes in the back end and creates the program and puts packages up the courses, and this is where, again, understanding and finding our nature. So there's a link in the chat if anybody wants to check out the details. Hanna, you'll put that in the chat notes, or sorry, yeah, in the podcast notes as well for the show. And or email us at either info@happyjackyoga.com or george@happyjackyoga.com. And we'd love to, continue the conversation. This is yoga. This is spirituality. This is just the beginning.
it is. And such a blessing to be in it together.
Yeah. Yeah. So huge shout out to all the beautiful souls here. Happy Sarah, George, Ritika. We've got an iPad, I'm not sure, but iPhone I know is Angie. We've got Mohanji, brother, beautiful to have you here with us. Rita in South Africa. Sue, our Canadian sister, who, by the way, for our Canadian crew, she's organizing a special get-together in August for the Happy Jack Yoga community. We're going to be doing it at a nice vegetarian restaurant in the beautiful town of Huntsville. So thank you, Sue. Suparna, so beautiful to connect with you on the last call, and hopefully we'll see you in West Virginia in a couple of weeks. And Susie as well, thank you for being here. But our friends, wishing you an amazing rest of the day. I'm gonna go get my graduation cap and gown, and then I'm gonna pick up tickets for graduation, and then I'm gonna go home and take a nap, because it's that time.
I love that. That's a good plan.
Yeah.
Love
So
it.
wishing you guys an amazing rest of the day. Thank you all for being here. And we're back again next week, next Tuesday. That's going to be the final episode from Harvard campus forever. Join us next Tuesday, and we'll see you then, my friends. Namaste.
Namaste.